stories and playing your songs on Graham's JFDI show.
Again, you give me that feeling, yeah, again. You give me that feeling, yeah, again. I want you just to shout it out. And give it up, we give it out. Shout it.
Thursday night, 8 p.m, and it's the JFDI podcast. And I'm mixed emotions tonight because I'm super excited for this evening's guest, but also it's the last in the current series. So to give us all a bit of space and to give us a little bit of time to catch up, we decided that we were going to do a run of Wim Hof instructors for your listening and viewing pleasure. And tonight, it's my absolute privilege to bring on a lovely lady that I met for the first time in March at the Wim Hof Instructor reunion. And it signposts the end of this current series. But do not worry, because I'm fairly sure we'll be back soon. And we're going to make the wait. It will be worth it. But we're not done yet. We're going to go out with a lady who's got some, I know this, certainly got some fascinating tunes to share with you. And if the conversations that we had when we met in Poland are anything to go by, you are going to absolutely love this evening's guest. So without further ado, let me just bring it in. This evening's guest not only is a Wim Hof instructor, but also a coach in another couple of breathwork modalities. She's an oxygen advantage coach, a Buteyko coach as well. And in addition to that, she's a free diving coach, and something that you may or may not know. But I am very familiar, and it's why we connected at the Wim Hof Instructor reunion. She's also a coach in the work of Byron Katie. Now, if you don't know what that is or who Byron Katie is, please stay tuned. And let me introduce you to the very wonderful Helena Hefti Wenger. Good evening. How are you?
Hello, Grammy. So nice to be here. Thank you for that nice introduction.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I almost, when you sent me your songs, your choice tonight, there's not many people give me the background that you gave me beforehand, which is actually super helpful, because I was able to tailor some of your questions, not only from the songs, but you gave me a little bit of advanced warning for some of the reasons. Now we'll talk about them, but some of the reasons why you chose those songs. So thank you for helping me out.
I was actually helping out myself because I was a bit worried that I forget why I chose those, or maybe I didn't know if I was going to be nervous in the podcast, so I might just forget it. No, but it's also, I thought there's some nice stories with some, and I needed to translate one.
You did, and I can't wait to get onto that, because I listened to the song that you're talking about in his native tongue. We'll not give it away because it's your third choice. But I also, when I was listening to in his native tongue, I was reading your translation, which was really helpful. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. But we'll start at the beginning. 5 songs. How did you find choosing the songs? Was it difficult or did they come easy?
It's super easy. I just what came to my mind, and yeah, as you read, it was not only about the song itself, it's more sometimes more about the story. And yeah, it was quite easy. And yeah, I also sometimes a bit stuck in the old songs. So, so it's not like I have 1,000 to choose from. So yeah.
We are a similar age.
Very similar, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 51 this year. You too, no?
Yes, 2 years older. I was born in 1971, so 53.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And for my viewers and listeners, just to set things clear, I knew your age because I spent some time doing my research and reading through your absolutely gorgeous website, by the way. And your date of birth is on your website. I would never dream of asking a lady how old she is, ever. So, but I know what you mean in terms of holding on to some of the old songs. It's like you say, it's what fascinates me about individuals' choices on the show. Everybody has their own unique reasons for the songs, and some of them take us in directions that I didn't even have any idea that we would end up there, which is what makes this show so interesting every week for me. So, shall we start with your first song then?
Of course, as you're the guide.
We used that phrase quite a lot at the weekend, doing breathwork sessions for Heal Scotland. We said, you are the warriors. You are in control. We are merely your guide. So I shall be your guide this evening. And we'll start with "The Wind of Change" by the Scorpions. So I'll let you tell the story. I read, and a lot of what you wrote resonated as well. So do you remember the story?
I'll try. The rest I'll just make it up. No, no, it was actually the Winds of Change. I think it must have been a big thing in the UK at the time. Or you must know.
Oh, I know it. I know it well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a song. I was 18 and we were listening to it. Of course, this was the time also we had this, I think we still had those parties where, we dance close when it's a slow song. So I just have this song and whistling with it in my mind. But the reason why I chose it now is because I think it was actually in the lockdown, 2020 Corona, I read a book of the guitarist, Rudolf Schenker, which is, I think, also the songwriter, I believe to remember. And I just didn't know the story of the Scorpions, actually, that were, it's a German band, but they were everybody in Germany at that time was listening to hard rock in English, and people were just laughing at them. And they were struggling hard in the beginning with, of course, the whole story without money, but still just wanting to play music. And they got so big in the UK, in the United States, and also in Russia. They were, "Winds of Change" is the song about the change in the Soviet Union, and I also, it's very funny because they sing down to Park, it's Gorky Park, and I think I always sang Donkey Park or something. So in the book, they're on the big boat and they ran down the Moskva until to the Donkey Park, and I thought the Gorky Park. Sorry, I still go Donkey. So a big thing. The first group ever invited to the Kremlin, to Gorbachev at the time, and super famous in the end and super successful. And And what I think is so nice is sometimes maybe when it could be with the Wim Hof Method or anything, like you want to do something, you put up a business, or you just do what you like, and maybe the people around you don't find it so great. So don't try to persuade who's ever next to you, but just go where people resonate, and I think that's one part of that song that is so nice, and not only that song but also of the Scorpions, and also the fact that he writes like he's a hard rock guitarist, that it says that he's been meditating for 40 years, so he's 70 now. And it's another thing for me, it's like, you know, we never know what people do. Just you have this label on them because he's a hard rocker. You think he's just drinking a lot and hanging around with their groupies, but he's meditating like every day. And so I think even in the book, do you know the book? It's called Rock Your Life in English. Actually, in the German title also is Rock Your Life. They did come out in the UK. Do you know anything?
I've not read the book, not heard of it, but it sounds fascinating, and the two reasons that you kind of gave there as well, I think both very much resonate, and I think will resonate with people listening as well, in terms of being laughed at or criticized for something, and I guess kind of struggling to move forward. It's and like you say, you should never as they say, read a book by its cover, just because you see something from the outside, that doesn't necessarily mean you can tell the full story. It's another reason you don't really know what goes on in other people's lives unless you're willing to listen. Correct?
Yes. And don't judge, in the sense, actually we're always judging, but try to stay open. I mean, we might miss something. Yeah.
So can you think of when you first heard the song, when you were singing about Donkey Park, or going even further back in your life? What would you say is your earliest? Do you remember your earliest childhood memory, like going way back?
My earliest. It's funny, because because when you read about memories and stuff, it's often that we think we have memories, but it's not true. I think there's a study about when they would, you might know that they would show people images of a car crash, and then they would ask one group, did you see shattered glass when the cars smashed into each other? And the second group would say, did you see shattered glass when the cars hit each other? And the third was like just when they bumped into each other or something. And the ones that were asked when the cars smashed into each other, they'd all saw shattered glass, although there was no shattered glass in the movie. So this was just a thing about when we think we remember something, but it's just depending on what people told us maybe. And I know I have this memory, but there's also a picture in an album about this time, and I was so little, I think it's not possible that I remember it. So that would be one that I think is a memory, but it's probably made up.
Tell us about it, even if it is made up. What do you remember?
It's nothing special. It's just sitting with my godmother at the house in the sun. Yeah.
But it's interesting what you say. That is special though, right? To you, certainly.
Yeah.
You say it's not special, but sitting with your godmother in the sun, does that bring back happy memories?
Yeah, Yeah, I think she was like, I grew up on a farm. We were 6 siblings, and this is always a bit chaotic. And I had this godmother who could have been my grandmother, actually, but I often was at their house, and it was the opposite, with all straight. And I was the only child there because their kids were grown up already. And I was really like, they looked after me like I was a raw egg. So yeah, I was very spoiled there. Yeah.
6 siblings, did you say? You were
Five. We were 6
siblings, so
altogether.
you were six,
Yeah.
there were 6 of you.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up with? So how many brothers and how many sisters?
I only have one brother. The rest of us is sisters.
Wow, 1 brother and 4 sisters.
Yes. And it was, I mean, it's great. I have a sister for every topic I need, and the brother, of course, also. And it's, I mean, it's nice. We're getting along well, although it's always, always clashes. And also, I think they shaped me. I mean, I was the youngest, or I still am the youngest, and it's nice to be a big family. It was just chaos. It was just chaos, but a beautiful chaos.
Yeah. What would your brother say if I asked him what it was like growing up with 5 sisters?
I don't know. What's funny is, like, I think they since on a farm, it was very traditional. They wanted to give the farm to the boy, but the boy was only the 5th child. So it's a bit like, trying until there's a boy, and then of course there is this boy, and there's, I don't know what's true. If I was I might have been an accident, or maybe the hope for a second one. But my brother actually was more. I was more the boy than he was. I like to play soccer. I'm just, he was the shy one. I was the loud one, and So I don't know. I think he never complained actually about being the only guy. I felt he was spoiled by my father, of course, because he, yeah. But okay, yeah. I don't know, actually. I should ask him.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, how do you think your childhood, the chaos, as you say, and being the youngest, how did that sort of, between perhaps the ages of, from when you were born through to your early sort of teenage years, how did that sort of form how you chose to progress in life?
I think that's something. I think there's also, I don't know so many studies, but it just reminds me of another study that I think, what I believe to remember is that all the older kids are more, let's say, conservative, or also obeying, and the little ones are those who want to change the revolutionaries. So I think I have a little bit. I have that in my blood, and not to follow just what the old ones say. I want to do my own thing, and it's going through a little bit of my life also, that I never, like, I'm not saying I'm going against the current. That actually, I think for a long time in my life I was a little bit against the current. It's also a bit the farmer, and tough head, but I'm more like flowing with the current, but not. I think mainstream is a bit of a mainstream word, but I like to discover other stuff. And also I think my parents, especially my father, he was the one probably that introduced stuff into my life, that there's something else that we don't see, that what we see is not everything, and that there's more to life than just going to work from 8 to 5 or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So you were you a little bit of a rebel?
Yes and no. I think the fact that I think all the parents get less strict with every kid they have. So since I was the sixth, they have been through, because actually my parents were quite strict and like traditional and stuff. So yes, but what I actually did, my rebel thing, was that I left when I was 16 and I never went back home living. I went to the United States when I was 16. I came back later when I was studying. I went a year to Colombia. So I just took my distance, and so I could do what I wanted. Yeah, nobody took control.
Nice. You say you went to the United States when you were 16?
Yeah. I was an exchange student at the time.
And didn't come back?
I did come back, but I didn't go back home to live with my parents.
Okay. So how long did you spend in the United States?
Just a year. Just a year.
Just a year. And what did you experience during that year?
Hey, that was crazy actually, because I thought the United States, that's going to be like in the movies, and I saw myself, I don't know, going down in Hollywood or something. So the Santa Monica Boulevard was in my. Actually, I did visit that, but you cannot, when you like sign up for the exchange year with an institution, you cannot choose where you go. And I landed in Nebraska. I don't know if that sounds to you. That's really Middle West. And I didn't land in the populated part of Nebraska, but on the, where there's like, you drive, like there's an hour drive between two villages, and I didn't live in a village. I lived outside the village on a farm again. I was on a farm again. So that it was for me, it was a bit of a culture shock then, also because, for example, they would cruise up and down Main Street for when they were off school. And in the beginning, I thought they're all crazy, like in Switzerland, you cannot even drive a car at that age. And I found it so stupid. And like in a year, I kind of started to enjoy cruising up and down Main Street. So I got a bit of that. No, but it was a great year. And I think it was also wonderful because I would never go there for holidays. So I had the chance to see a part of the United States, which I would not know otherwise, and I really learned to know it, and I can now sometimes, when you have this political stuff, although I was in a great family, not at all like conservative or anything, but how people live there, it's just different, a different perspective on the world, and I love that I did it,
It's always nice, isn't it, to travel and to get a different perspective, to embrace other cultures and just see how other people live. Certainly, the old, walk a mile in someone else's shoes, as it was.
Yeah,
we can learn a lot from that. Correct.
Definitely.
Yeah, fascinating. So after a year as an exchange student, you came back to Switzerland, but not home. And then did you say that you then went to, did you say Colombia?
Yeah, but that was later. First, I went to the French part of Switzerland because I was born in the German part. So I went for school in the French part, and I stayed there for 5 years. And then I went back to the German part, to the capital, which is, the capital of Switzerland? It's not Zurich.
It's
okay. You don't. It's Bern.
Yes, that's
Well,
where it
actually, you could have cut it out later. No, I went to Bern, and then I studied there. And in the scope of my studies, I went to Colombia, to Bogota, for a year.
Oh, fascinating. Bogota.
Yeah,
How was that?
that was also interesting. Also, culture. No, was great. I mean, it was, yeah, I'm still in love with Colombia. It's just wonderful people. And of course, also there, actually, I remember, actually, it was really funny how I got there, because I think a year before I was traveling with a friend in Venezuela, and I met a guy from Colombia. And when I was back in Switzerland, I decided I wanted to go in like a year abroad, studying abroad. And I also, from work, I think we had this connection with an institute in Bogota. So I just went there without knowing where I'm gonna live. So I just took the plane, and I had this address, and by chance I got a second address from someone. So the first person, the person I had met in Venezuela, when I went to see her, he was a bit strange, and I was like, I cannot stay here. So I was like, didn't know where to stay, but I had this second address, and that was an actor. But he also lived, like, Bogota was at the time not a super safe city. That was in 93 or something, whatever. But and also he lived, like, not in the north of the city. The north is usually the richer part. I was just like central south. And yeah, when I arrived there, actually, even before, like when I just came from the plane, I was like, I told the taxi driver I wanted to go to a cheap hotel, and he said, like, I know one for $80. I said, no, that's much too expensive. I knew it from traveling. So he brought me to this hotel. I think it was in the middle of it's called the Cartucho, where they sell all the drugs. And I remember I was in the bed, and that night someone come in the room and went out again. And afterwards, when I knew where I had stayed, I was like, oh my God, I was so glad nothing happened. So yeah, that kind of went on, that I was always very lucky, and always like just a bit naive going to places. But I think sometimes naivety, or how do you say that? It protects you, you know.
Naivety.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think at that age, so that you would have been sort of late teens, early 20s then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
around that.
Yeah, young and no fear.
Yeah. Wonderful, no?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. So in terms of how long you stayed in Colombia, what was the biggest lesson you learned in Colombia?
I think also that I remember, I mean, as I said, I wasn't living in a safe place. If I came home late at night, it was always a bit, But, you know, nothing ever happened. The only thing that happened was a guy that was like within the friends that it was actually friend of a friend who kind of, I think he was drunk and he wanted to sleep with me, and he's like, no, I know you love me, and he kind of almost raped me, because I could like push him away, and he fell into like a glass, and so everybody heard, and so he took off. and for me, that lesson was kind of like, it's not, you know, sometimes we're always like the things that we don't know, we think it's more dangerous, but it doesn't mean, because you don't know places, that people are more, so I don't want to say like threat is within you always, you have to protect yourself, but it's not. I mean, nobody ever hurt me, like even that guy didn't hurt me, but I think it was the biggest like scary moment I had there. And so
Still enough to open your eyes though, and yeah, make you realize.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on from Colombia and talk about Mika.
Yes.
So your second song choice is "Relax, Take It Easy" by
Yes.
Mika.
And I don't know any other song of Mika, and I don't know a lot about this song, but this is just a song that it's got so much energy in it, and at the same time, like singing, relax, take it easy. There's nothing we can do, and I think that's something like it's. So in so many times, it's also like related to the Wim Hof method, like relax into stress, and I think that's the most important thing in life, that we can like distinguish between what we can change and what we cannot, and to relax when we cannot. So I like the song because it's not just like slow, slow, slow. It's like it's got a lot of energy. And I think when we can distinguish these two things, we have a lot of energy left over than if we always worry and try to think about stuff. Then, yeah.
Yeah, there's some words in that Mika song where he talks about blame me or blame you. So he talked about take it easy, but the word blame comes into that song a few times as well. I think this is a perfect opportunity to ask you this question, because I will roll the clock back a little bit, because I'm super interested to find out about how you know what the journey was between coming back from Colombia, your kind of professional career. I'm not sure how we squeeze it all in, because it does seem like you've accomplished and done quite a lot through the years. But in terms of that Mika song and talking about blame, talking about, like you say, the Wim Hof method, that sort of idea of just how it all fits together. What advice would you offer or give to anyone that always finds something or someone to blame for their situation?
I think when I do a bit of coaching also, and I also blame others. It's like the first thing, I think sometimes when ask my husband, he's always to blame, and so I think rather than giving advice to everybody else, is like giving advice to myself, and like always remembering it's just a projection, and also I started saying that I was doing a little bit of coaching, and I've made up like I always actually it's there behind me, but I'm not going too much into detail, but it's a picture where you have two sides. There is, on one side is our energy, like life energy, like the way it's simply the way we feel. And you have this, it goes from, I feel like powerless, I feel sad, over like neutral, and then also, or no, before neutral comes like I'm angry at someone, and then comes neutral, and then comes like I'm in love with everybody, but not in a romantic love, but I'm fine, I'm peaceful, that's the inside, it's my feelings. And just beside it, I have my life circumstances, and it goes from I feel like I feel sick, I feel power, I just, or my body, I'm sick, not I feel is on the other side, but like I don't have no money, I don't have a boyfriend, it's like all life circumstance, the worst case you can imagine. No money, no friends, no like you're sick. And it goes up, you feel better, better, better. And on the top is like whatever you wish to have in life. Like the perfect love, the perfect family, the perfect job, you're healthy, fit and strong and whatever. And whatever you can match. And of course, a lot of money also. And and what we always do is like, we think when we have all of this, we're going to be very happy. Like we're going to be life circumstances at the top, then we're also going to be feeling wise at the top. When actually it's the other way around. It's when we're feeling well, then life circumstances with time, they just get better and better. And it's like our average feelings is about at the same level as the average life circumstances. And that's life circumstances would be that person I want to blame also. Or in another way said, I like the merry-go-round. Imagine that we are on a merry-go-round, and I see that person on that merry-go-round, and it's like, I don't want to be on that merry-go-round. Why are you here? And also I want to be on that other merry-go-round. It's got the people I want to be with. It's got the things I want to have and everything. But this other merry-go-round is turning very fast. And if I just made my energy I want to jump on, it's going to just like kick me off in the bushes. And that's the thing. Actually, if I'm with someone that I don't like and it's not right for me, it means we're in the same energy. We're on the same merry-go-round. Otherwise, I wouldn't even meet that person. So it's we attract whatever is in our energy. So it's inside. And the thing is, it's not about like you are the bad one. It's just seeing that if you try to control outside anything, it's not going to work. It's going to work maybe a while, and you can shout at someone and he's going to leave, or you can manipulate people by like telling them, yeah, you should have, or I don't love you if you don't do that. But it's a short fix, and then life, you're just staying in that same energy. So you have to go up the ladder on the feeling side, and then everything will be. So how do we feel well? It's by thinking good thoughts.
Yeah, I love that. It's an inside job. Yeah. Is what we would say. It's and I love that you have that on your website as well. That quote, which I think is quite beautiful, and I think it's which is about, when I have the money, when I have the car, when I have the job, then I'll be happy. And the reality is, it's or what you say on the website is, when I have this, and this, then I'll be. When I have success, that will be success. When I have success, I'll be happy. And you said it's the other way around. And I think John Lennon, one of the Beatles, said something very, very similar when, and I only heard this today. It was almost like we were meant to talk about it, because something else popped up. It was a story about John Lennon when he was at school, and he was taught when he was very young that if you're happy, if you grow up to be happy, then that is success in itself. And he was asked at school, it was a relative or somebody had said this to him, and he was asked at school by a teacher what he wanted to be when he grew up, and he said he wanted to be happy. And the teacher said to him, "No, John, you don't understand." And he said to the teacher, "No, you don't understand life." And I thought that's wonderful, and that's exactly what you're saying. Happiness is success in itself, but happiness resides in here, not out here. There's nothing that we can get physically, tangibly, the job, the car, the relationship, the fame, whatever it may be. None of that really will make us happy, because if you can get that, then you can lose all of that as well. So
it might, huh? It doesn't say. I mean, I think it's important also to. I mean, it's wonderful if you have it,
Of course.
But if you cannot be happy with what you have, how do you know you will be happy with when you have it? So, like, we can start to train a little bit to be happy with what we have. Then we know we're definitely going to be happy when we have that more. Or maybe, we don't know. But it's also not. I mean, I don't understand it, and I maybe I also come a bit from this, it's good not to have money, or money isn't important, or anything like that. I came a bit, I left that. Also, for example, that people that are rich must be bad, or something like that. I think there's probably, a lot of good people that have a lot of money, but we don't even know them, because it's not the ones that that we meet, because we're not on the same merry-go-round. No, but I think we don't know. It's just like with this Scorpion song, we don't know about the people, and it's not bad to have money, but it's not everything. So it's an inside job, as you said.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to song number 3, because this is the one that's it's not in English, and if you hadn't given me the translation, I don't think I would have had to Google it. And the Google
actually, why don't you play those songs you should play them. I was going I thought you played them, but and I went into your in an old podcast and said, he's not playing the songs. And I brought the Swiss German songs for the audience.
Well, the idea is that the audience will hear the songs.
Yes.
The whole concept of the podcast, and the reason that I don't play the songs on here is because if I put a song on during the podcast, it gets taken off Facebook or off YouTube. So what I started to do is I take the audio, I cut it, and then I play it in one of the radio shows. So this is what I've done, and we need to rely heavily on AI, I think, moving forward to help me out. To cut it. So
of course,
I will let you talk about Himalaya by by Nemo, and then we will play it at a later date.
A later date, yes, of course. Yeah, Nemo is just you read. I give you the translation, and it's all about and it's a real story, because he's a young Swiss rapper, and he sings about one sentence is people know better than you what's good for you, or they know you better than you know yourself. And of course, I think with rap or anything that is not a good job as we know it, it's people, there will always be adults wanting to be nice and telling them you cannot rely on that career. So you have to first go to school. And of course, I think he was also still in the normal school. He was not he was still so young when he started writing rap, and he's quite famous in Switzerland. So I don't know at what stage he's now, but in the song also I think it has a nice phrase where he said, somewhere on earth the sky begins, and I don't need to be at the top to see it. So I can it's a journey, and it's not going to be easy, but I know that there's something else, and there's the sky, and I don't need to wait until I'm up there. So
I'm glad that you sent me the translation, because there's some very, very nice words in there, some very nice phrases, and that what you mentioned there, I really like that. The other bit that I really like, he says, they say I'm walking on thin ice, but what would life be without risk? Sometimes I don't fit, but I feel good about myself as long as I do what I love.
Wonderful.
And that, I think that is important. Doing what you love. So how has that changed, or has that changed what you have done through your life, sort of professionally and personally? How important is that in terms of doing what you love?
It's very important, and I think I think I started the journey with coaching and actually other work of Byron Katie coaching, the Wim Hof Method, and that has been like in 2015. So I'm an instructor since 2017. So for until like last year, I was always working beside. I had a proper job. A real job. And no, but just let's say a little bit of a more stable and safer job money wise, and when I always wanted to leave it. And actually I think that book of the Scorpions, Rock Your Life, has helped me in also. There's a lot of puzzle. I think one book also from Sadhguru Yogi that my son gave to me. Okay. There was also something in there like we have to become responsible for the course of our life, because it's not going to happen if we just go on. Maybe sometimes it happens that we have an enlightenment or something, or that something is getting so bad that we need to change or whatever. But I felt like I have to do it, but like for a year or two, I was always like, I shouldn't, yeah, but I can't, And my husband is also self-employed, so it was even more difficult, like to take the decision. And now I've been like, I call myself a breath and cold trainer. And this more than 1 year now that I've been just working or living on that has been very challenging. Like he says in the song, there's stones along the way. It's not going to be easy, but nobody said it was easy. No man, he sings. So so for me, I think this is really what we teach in the Wim Hof Method, is like this focus. And I think it's easy to have your focus for 2 minutes in an ice bath, or even for 2 hours if you go hiking in shorts. But I think life is then like the challenge of like every day, when fear comes up, that sometimes I always thought I'm gonna hit the wall. And it's mostly about finance. I think that's what keeps most people. It's finance. It's the kids, financing the kids' studies, and then so like keeping the focus on what you want, and also like remembering what do you want to teach your kids. That you need to go, that like we repeat, like every generation repeats what the last one did for the kids, and then the kids have to do it on their own again. So I like, what do I want, and yeah, go on that journey, and not expecting it to be easy, but to have to focus on what you want. And also what I do a lot of, like every morning I write down for what I'm thankful, and in the sense that I realize what all those things that happen in my life that are great, that are the way I want it. And it's again to raise my energy, to to go up the ladder on this side so things can come in, instead of already getting up and worrying and what's the next thing. Is like I look back on the last day, last night, what is good. So
So you did a lot alongside the day job with the coaching. But how did you? What was it that got you involved? How did you find the Wim Hof Method? Let's start there. How did that come to be? How did that come into your life?
It came into my life because actually it's funny because it's all related with, actually I went, and where did I go? Actually, I went to I was doing the training to become a coach for the work.
Byron Katie.
And Byron Katie. And that was in Germany. And I went the night before I went there. I stayed at some friends that I had known at the school for the work. I don't know if you know the school for the work. It's a really great thing. And we were talking about freediving. So everything comes together, you see. And we're talking about freediving, about breath holding. And the guy says, do you know that Dutch guy? He also holds his breath, and then he can sit in ice for 2 hours. That's what he said. And then we were talking about that. I was like, what? I hadn't heard ever from Wim Hof before. And then he gave me this Vice documentary. It's like a half an hour documentary about the method, about Wim Hof, that I was listening on my way home after the retreat. And I was immediately caught. It's like, what? You can like influence your immune system just by doing some breathing. And that's how that's how it started.
Okay, that's how it started. Okay, so let's go back again to when, so you were doing the work of Byron Katie. Let's talk a little bit about how you got involved in the work in the first place as well.
And the work.
Yeah, how did that come about? How did you hear about Byron Katie and end up training in the work? And if you wouldn't mind as well, for anyone that doesn't know, just summarize what that is very quickly, because I know we could both talk about this for hours.
Yeah. Actually, it was my husband. He was doing some coaching training, and his coach or his trainer recommended him a book. The book was Loving What Is from Byron Katie. And my husband thought that would be something for me since he was a woman. I don't know why he thought it was something for me, but he gave me the book for Christmas in 2015. And I didn't read the book like for 2 months, but when I started, I think it was on page 5, they were talking about something like that we have an interpreter in our mind, in our head, in our mind, like this voice that is always commenting on anything that happens around us, and like going on, and for me it was like, yeah, that's right, I have that too. And it's like, you've never seen that, or you've never like gotten it before or what, but yeah, it's amazing. It's like on page 5 I was like, yes, that's something. And then, well, I read the book, and I was completely, I don't know, astonished by this method, by the stories that were in there. Yeah. So you wanted me to resume? Like very shortly, we can just say it's like basically it's a method or a process where you can question stressful thoughts. So, and the process is super simple. You take something that stresses you, like a person you blame that is yet before, and would be, for example, my husband. He should like what's a normal thing he should, what I always forget what he all does. He does so many things. I'm blaming him, and when I should write something.
How about he should tidy up after himself? He should.
Yes. Okay, all this. So he should tidy up after himself. And or one thing that was really big also was often when the kids were small, on Sundays, he could also like organize a bit of program for them, because we have to do a bit of going out. So it's something you can take, like he should organize more. So what we do, the process is always that you ask, is it like, it's important you before we start the process, like we take the judgment. He should do more programming, more organizing, and then we have a series of questions, and also we turn the thing in the statement he should, we turn it around. But before we start, it's important that we get ourselves in a state, like a kind of a meditative state, because what we like, the whole aim, what we want to do is we want to trick out our mind, because our mind is always giving us the same answers. So we want to trick him out. So what is important is that we are not in that in the mind as we usually are. So like, relax, take it easy, and then we start to question ourselves. So he should do more organization, family stuff. So is it true? Just ask ourselves, is it true? And then we come up with a yes or a no. And then the second question is, if it was a yes, it's true, he should, then I ask myself, can I be absolutely sure it's true? And usually there it already softens a bit. And it's not me giving the answer. I wait till an answer arises in me. So, and then also the third one is, how do I react in a moment that I think he should do? Like, I imagine myself, I'm always, also before I begin, I try to really put myself in the situation where I thought at the last time, or not the last time, or one time, in a big time, in an important one. So how do I react? So I see myself in that situation where I had that idea, he must more. So I'm like on the sofa, he's there, like on the computer, instead of like getting the kids together. So how do I react? And then I see myself, how I like talk to him, how I like probably say a lot of things that if he ever wanted to organize something that will be the end, he probably, if he had wanted to do it, he's not going to do it anymore, because I'm looking at him so badly, or I'm talking to him and making it really not fun also to do something with me, probably. And the fourth one is like, who would I be without the thought? It's like really in the same situation, he's there, I'm there, and who would I be without the thought? I probably enjoy the moment at home. He's doing his stuff, I do my stuff, or whatever comes up. I don't know. And then we do the turnarounds. It's like, he should not, or he should not organize it, or he should just stay at home, could be also not opposite. And then I find examples or statements why this is true also. So maybe it comes up, it's fine the way it is, or he is organized already twice last week, or whatever. It gives space to those other answers that come up that in the moment are just, And if we believe something that he's never doing it, then we only see those times where he didn't do it, and we forget about all the other times that he did do it. So yeah, and then I turn it around. I should organize more. And then it's like, yeah, if I want to go out, why don't I organize it? He doesn't even want to go out, maybe. So it's not because he married me, he said yes to organizing every Sunday. Yeah. So, and then there's also turn around to myself. And then for this, the turn around to myself is a bit complicated in this example. But if you have like, he should listen to me, then it would be, I should listen to him, I should listen, he should not listen to me, or he does listen to me. And the third one would be, I should listen to myself. So this would be the third turnaround, which, like with organizing, you cannot do it. But it all gives you more room for seeing the whole picture of reality, because we were always in a tunnel.
Yeah, I think you've summarized it absolutely wonderfully, and I think that word that you used there, reality, is kind of where it really the work really opened my mind, because we kind of go through life believing that what we see and what we think is reality and truth, and in fact, what I think the work of Byron Katie has encouraged and challenged me to think is that my truth is not your truth, and our truth is not anyone else's truth. And because we believe something to be true, right from the beginning, that very second question, can you be certain that that is true? And the reality, the actual reality, is that, with most things, if you are basing something on your opinion, then that you can't ever be certain that your opinion is true, very rarely. And like you said, it's certainly, even if you are of the mindset and very determined to hold on to that belief that it is true, at least by asking yourself the question and reinforcing that for the second time, the belief is certainly starting to soften in most instances. And it gives you the whole idea and concept of self-inquiry and challenging your thoughts. Really, man, I told you this in Poland, it really opened my mind. And so, following on from the work of Byron Katie, as a Wim Hof instructor, what do you think the best thing about the two combined? How does the work of Byron Katie work hand in hand with the Wim Hof method? Because I heard the way you explained this in Poland, it made it even more clear, because for me, the two work hand in hand, in terms of being happier, in terms of actually healthier, certainly mentally. But yeah, what would you say in terms of how they work together?
I try to remember what I said in Poland, but for me, I think really at the top of what, like when it's about happiness, at the top is always what we are thinking, and whether what we are thinking is making us feel good or not. So it's just like, is it warm or cold? Is a thought warm or cold? And it's also, again, to this, this, when I had this example from, like, on one side you have life energy, on the other side you have life circumstances. Life energy is caused by a thought that creates a feeling, and then the feeling, depending on the feeling, we are acting differently. And finally, our life is the sum of our action and feelings. If you can look at the person, is it a happy person? Is it a person that is active, is doing what they think? Are they supporting others or whatever? So you can really categorize in general a bit a person. So this is not about like being that nice with other people. It's being really what we humans are at the core. It's loving, supporting, and it's it's really based on the work is really based on this assumption that in our core we're all good. So if we blame someone, or if we are not nice, or like if we kill someone, we're not doing something bad to someone else only, but mainly. Is that in your? Yeah. It's something that we are hurting ourselves, and even it might feel a bit good at the moment to blame someone, but in the end, actually, it's really that we are. I hear something. Yeah. So that's one thing, and so as I said in the beginning, we have to grow. If we want to change our lives, it's the where we have the most control is on what we think and how we feel. So and it's this what we need, that needs to be the leading part, and not what we like change outside of us. So for me, also the Wim Hof Method, I mean, we have a lot of stuff with health. Of course, health is always important. It will make it easier for us to be happy. But that part of going into the cold, or in the breathing, where we like learn to know, or to be more conscious about what we are thinking in a stressful moment, this can really be a big change. But or not but and and that third pillar that we have, I mean, in the Wim Hof Method, we have the breathing, we have the cold, and we have the mindset. And in the mindset, it's always, for me, it's like I ask the people what is focus. And for me, focus is really being aware of what we are thinking, and not being those thoughts that always are chatting, but the observer. And you can train this in the cold water. And if you have a thought that is really bothering you, or something, whatever stresses you, it's a little bit like putting it into cold water and looking at it, from other perspectives, and from a meditative state. So,
Yeah, I love that. I think, for me, absolutely, it's like taking the thought and putting it into cold water. I like that as well. We always say, going into the cold, whilst we may focus on the breath to calm and to bring that focus, it's really about it's really about just quietening down this, quietening down the thoughts, and similarly to the work of Byron Katie, it's kind of taking that and changing it, and that's exactly what the cold does as well. Just you can, as I always say to people, well, we might talk about the breath as a vehicle, the mindful aspect of going into the cold and just blocking, or acknowledging perhaps everything else, but excluding the outside world, and just being in here and finding the peace. You can't be, I don't think you can't be angry and or be in in the water. You can't be thinking about something that's not right there and right then, and be comfortable. It's a very mindful process, in the sense that you have to be fully engaged, fully focused.
Yeah, and Byron Katie always says, if you want to get a little depression, get a past, and if you want a little fear and terror, get a future. So it means doing the work is really being present, and of course, the cold, I mean, you don't even have to do something; it just gets you into present. But I think the work is really something. that can add a bit, I think with the cold and training your nervous system to be less reactive, more active, more centered, this really is already a big foundation. But then sometimes we have those, I don't know, from education, experience, whatever we lived, there's a few topics that are really deep. And it's like with the water, you get that fog off, or yeah, you can get deeper, but there's some like that are like nails, and with the work, you can kind of pull them out and get another light. You can really change your past when you do the work, because you going
Let it
back
go.
in a situation. Yeah. What did you say?
Almost let it go.
Yeah, and it's not a, like, it's Byron Katie also, she always has this she compares it to if there's a rope on the ground and you think it's a snake, you're gonna be you're gonna be afraid. And when you look closer, you see it's a rope, and then it's a rope, and you never think it's a snake again because you know it. So when you do the work, you have looked at it and you have experienced it you have changed that like the memory. You changed not only the memory, you changed the whole past because you look at it differently, because our memories are not like truth is as we had in the beginning, but it's an interpretation I had in the past, and I just take it with me my whole life, and it stays like it was a bad situation. And when you see that situation in another light, a bit more openly, not just through the tunnel, you see, I don't know why I should be mad at my parents or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not so intellectual. It's really experiencing it another time from another point of view.
Yeah. In terms of the work, I'll leave this open to your interpretation. If you had one last piece of work to do, what would that work be and why?
One last piece. Oh, wow, that's a big question. I think, it's a big question, because I think I have a lot of work still to do, but I think it's about safety, I think that that process of, I think money is such an important thing in my world, let's say, in the world of many people. And that illusion that we are safe with a job, and that we need that, and like trusting that there's other ways, if we don't get stressed on the path. It's like, I think a lot of times it's like, if I decide I'm going from Switzerland to Scotland and I know how it is in Scotland, and but on my journey to Scotland, I will pass a lot of places that are not very beautiful. But if I know how it is in Scotland, I won't just turn around and say, oh, it's not beautiful, I go back home to where I was always. I think it's that we often, when we go on a new journey, and it's maybe I think I'm not an exception, that money is ruling a lot of our life, like that we keep on doing the same stuff just to be money wise more or less safe. But it could be different also. It could be also something like it could be our surrounding also telling us we shouldn't do it, and then we listen to them. But I think for me it's still a lot the money and safety thing that I that would be my last work.
Okay.
Yeah, that I needed in order to, I don't know, be happy, to survive or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it is. It's certainly a key factor in everyone's life, and especially now across the world. It's one of those things. Whilst people will say money is the root of all evil, but we can't live without money. And as much as as much as happiness is far more important to me and I think to you than money, we can't live without it. We need it. Everyone does. And the other thing that I've learned about money is that actually, with more money also allows you to reach more people and help more people, depending on how you choose to direct that as well. So yeah, and
Of
safety.
course, you can do a lot of
Yeah.
it. Sorry, yeah.
And safety as well. I like how you've tied that in as well, because that's equally important.
And of course, it's when you're sick, then money is not so important anymore. So that's why, since I'm healthy, I guess it's just whatever is there, we take for granted. And I really, I think I've come a long way already with this topic, and it's my life is getting better in around that, but it still rules a bit, or it still steers a bit my decisions more than I would like to have.
Yeah, understand. Shall we talk about Leonard Cohen?
Yes.
I love this song, Anthem, and crack in everything. The lyrics in this, I love. I quite like Leonard Cohen. Some of his songs more than others. Some of his poems less so, but a very interesting character. But tell us about this song and why you chose it.
Actually, it's I think I chose it mainly because we were like actually talking together about the work of Byron Katie, and I knew it's going to be a topic here. And I remember at the School for the Work, this song was played, and I remember how it was so clear that that like there's a crack in everything. That's where the light comes in or gets in. I don't even know. And I think like in relation with the work, it's wonderful, because it's really when you give yourself the time to do the work. And also Byron Katie always said that's why it's called the work and not the holidays. It's not easy. I mean, for me, it's a lot easier to sit in cold water than to do a work, because it takes really discipline. It's not something you can just and you sit down, but the reward is huge. I mean, I've seen things like, I think my biggest work that I had, or my biggest enlightenment when I had done a work was, I think my son was like 10 at the time when I did the School for the Work, and a lot of working, like proper working. And I saw, like he was like misbehaving a lot, I thought. And I did the work on my son and on something he did. I don't remember what it was, but my enlightenment was that I always thought I did things to the best for him. That's what I thought when I didn't do the work. And when I worked it, I all of a sudden saw that my son was somehow my moving business card. So if he behaved, it meant I was a good mother. And if he didn't, it meant I did something wrong. So when I wanted him to behave, it was more that I could say I'm a good mother. And it was not so much for his best. And it was it was something like, really, I saw that rope. It was not a, it's something that I clearly see in that it's like a chain, like, I think, but I didn't before. I couldn't have seen it, and afterwards it sent so clear. So there was just this little crack when I did that work where this light got in, but the light, once it's in the crack, the light is huge. It's not just a little bit in the dark, you see. So in relation with the work, I mean, I also remember when I discovered the work, I was, why doesn't everybody do the work? It's like gold nuggets you can collect from the ground. And yeah, of course, I was talking to everybody. My son is traumatized from the work of Byron Katie. Don't talk to him about the work of Byron Katie, but he got it. He doesn't know what all he got from Byron Katie, actually.
In terms of I'm going to tie in Leonard Cohen and the Scorpions here. So if the light is getting in, we've allowed the light to get in, there's a crack emerged, the light is coming in, what kind of future can you feel emerging in the air and everywhere?
And now in the world, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not one of these persons said, now it's, I mean, in some, I say spiritual, I'm also spiritual, but in some surroundings, let's say, people say, yeah, now is the time and the time is changing. And I think the time has always changed. And of course, when you look at technologies also, it's huge. I mean, I think we have more like innovations in 5 years than before in 100 or so, so definitely things are getting faster but I think it's always changing. And also in this thing, there's something that's never changing. That's this basis of we are connected. What I think, and I'm just, when I say this way, it means that's my opinion. It doesn't mean it's true. But I believe, as I said before, also since I love the work, I also love that that basis of like we're all good. There's only bad thoughts. There's no bad people. So I think that we all are urging for connection and love. And of course, the other day someone said that social media was like the fast food of social connection. It's like you get a lot of calories, but you get no nutrition. So I think it's always changing, and it's what I also very, very, very much believe. It's always changing for the better. It's just depending on what you look. But I think when you look back, like in the old ages, people would just kill themselves. Like it was government, like, or it was okay to kill someone, and people would not do yoga 20 years ago, or not the guys. So it's changing for the good, and it's always been changing. And I'm always looking forward to what's coming.
I like that a lot. So we've spoken a lot, you've spoken a lot about connection, about connecting through the work, through the Wim Hof Method, about connecting with ourselves, about connecting with others, and obviously a big part of the Wim Hof Method is also connecting with nature, or reconnecting, if people are not. Where is your favorite place? Be that somewhere local or somewhere, like, where is your favorite place to reconnect, to connect with nature?
I think generally said it's probably in the woods, because with the trees, it's so dense. And I love to do a Wim Hof breathing session in the woods just for myself. but it's hard to say the best. I'm gonna have a Wim Hof weekend in May, like in 3 weeks. It's in the mountains, in the Swiss mountains, and it's just a beautiful spot. And it has this lake where the lake that is always cold. It's water from the glacier. So these weekends, actually, that's something that is huge. I mean, it's wonderful. Also, of course, it's not just a place. It's also always, that people who come to a Wim Hof workshop are always wonderful people. You never have a problem with them. Never had people are just, they're special, I think. So when you have a weekend with those people in a wonderful place like this, it's just, it's paradise.
Yes, paradise. Okay, we've done. Do you know what? We've been talking for almost 90 minutes.
Yeah, I suppose. I think I'm not going to go back to the party.
I'm talking too long. Let's talk about Matt Simons and catch and release then before I let.
Oh, that's such a nice song. You know him. Did you listen to that song? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's good. It's like when I listen to it, it's like I feel in love. It's like where's that new love around me? and yeah, it's a wonderful melody, and I think also this catching and releasing. I think this realizing that it's in the happiness is also not in the keeping of the things, and actually there's one thing. I don't know if you know Esther Hicks. It's a bit, she's channeling and stuff, and it's all about the law of attraction, and she says, like, again, like that image that I gave you with life energy, life circumstances, and those things that are at the top, that perfect job, that it's like when you got it, it's like a chewing gum that is already, like, you chewed the flavor out of it. So once you have it, it's over. Like, it's the pleasure is in the getting of it, and then you don't need to keep it, and then you catch the next thing, and that's something, in the lyrics. Actually, I did read the lyrics, but I'm not sure if he meant the same thing as I interpret, but that catching and releasing what comes up throughout the day, something like that. I love that catch and release, and to make it fun to catch and to release again also.
Yeah, no, I took the same, and some of the other lyrics as well. I talking about or kind of brought me back to. I often come back to for a variety of reasons. Come back to exactly like you say, when you're chasing something, when you're going after something, be that you're learning or it's something that you're aspiring to reach in business or personally. It's always good to, certainly during periods where you might feel stuck or that you're not progressing quick enough, or you seem to be doing the same thing over and over and not getting anywhere. I often come back to this aspect, and I think that Matt Simons is talking a little bit about this as well. It's coming back to the reasons why we do what we do as well. And like you say, it's so for you, what is in striving for the next thing, and you said you have so much work still to do, but underneath everything that we do, we have a reason to project us forward, be that a mission, a purpose. So what would you say? It's another big question to finish on, but it might be a short answer. What is your reason? What is your why?
I think is really to I wanted to say connect again. It's a way of connecting, and also, I mean, with the Wim Hof method, or with the Wim Hof methods, it's a bit easier. The work of Byron Katie, people need to be a bit more open, let's say, or it's not so quick. But as I said before, but the reward is also huge. So when people, when you can make a little difference in someone's life, and it's also a big difference in my life. And and sometimes it's, this image of what I just said. Actually, it's that thing behind me also that shows that. The other day I had a girl calling me, and she asked for a breath coaching, and I said, hey, you came to me before, but for a normal coaching, and she was with me like 4 years ago, and she said, yes, I wasn't sure if it was really you, and I said, how do you remember that coaching? Because I remembered it, that she didn't, I did the work with her, and some friend had told her that the work was good, but she was working on a friend, and then and when she came to the turnaround, I should be more nice or something. She couldn't, like, in the moment she was like shocked, that this could be a coaching that I told her to, like, I didn't tell her, but it was the turnaround. And I felt she was really, and so I asked her. I thought it's a lot of distance, and just to check also, because I had this feeling she never came back and all that. And then she said, I just remember you gave me this image, and I had taken a picture and I lost it, and I wanted to have it again. Do you still have it? Because it was so, it was such a nice picture for me. She liked it. So, now this is like 4 years later, but when she said that to me, it's like this, because this picture is so important to me, and it's so beautiful. When I share it and I see it, somebody resonates with it, just like I do, or at least also in a positive way, that's just wonderful. And I think it's just takes nothing to it. You don't need a lot to have these small moments. Yeah.
It's
Of
the little
connection.
moments that often mean the most in life, and it's the little things that quite often are the ones that we look back on, and ultimately are the most important. Not the big grand things that we aspire to, or the things that we say that we'll be happy when we have. It's the little things, and I think helping other people, connections, it's so important. And I love what you said earlier on about social media being the fast food of. I think it's more connection and more people helping more people is what the world needs. And that's a great why. That's a great reason to do anything. I think if everyone did everything with the best intention, the world would be such a better place. And I feel the world will be my world is a little bit better for having had a conversation with you this evening. I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking about all of your songs, about your past, about your journey. It's been great to reconnect, and perhaps a workshop in the future, or a retreat in the woods. Who knows?
In the woods with Byron Katie and the Wim Hof Method.
And the Wim Hof Method. Yeah.
It was wonderful, Graeme, and it was a little bit one way, because I had so many questions for you too. Or I want to say, not that I plan to ask you tonight. I don't know if you wanted to talk about yourself. I don't know, but I I really wish that we meet again where I can ask you the questions somewhere, somehow.
We can definitely do that. We can arrange that. But tonight, if you can stay there, and we will say goodnight to the JFDI podcast show listeners and viewers, and I can just say thank you very much indeed. Do you have any final message for listeners? A parting words from Helena to the listeners, the viewers.
Well, thank you for listening. 1 hour and 34 minutes, 35. I think we're all in the same boat. And one thing that I liked is this metaphor that on the boat, when we're like, if you see life as a river, it's the boat will find its way, and the river is really strong. So the river will get us to the sea anyhow. We don't have to oversteer the boat, and the worst thing what we can do is paddling upstream. Like yesterday, something really bad happened, so, or we stop and see something bad, and just like that, we look where we want to go, just enjoy the ride on the boat, and trust. I think trust is the biggest good in the world. It's trusting that there's a reason behind everything, and that if we can let go, that we do more controlling by not controlling, just trusting that that life gets a lot easier and a lot more happier.
I love that. Thank you very much indeed. Helena, it's been an absolute pleasure. And to those viewing tonight, thank you very much indeed. As I said earlier, this brings this series of the JFDI show to an end. But stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be back in due course. So for tonight, Helena, thank you. And thank you for those who've tuned in. Until next time, from myself and Helena, it's a very good night.